Hey everybody, welcome back. We are live once again for another episode of Star Wars Andor Watch Party and After Show. We are on episode 5 this week, and we're going to be prepping for when it drops at around 11:50. But before we get into that, let the guy on my right do his little thing.
Once again, it is me, the J to the E to the double F ray. I am Jeffrey Harris, and you're watching the MUSE TV Watch Party and After Show for Andor Episode 5. I'm back this week. I am feeling good, and I'm feeling better than I felt last Tuesday. So, ready to go.
Yeah, no gargajos in this show today.
All right. I got my giggle juice on. I got my giggle juice ready to go. I'm ready for a long night. So,
What type of giggle juice are you drinking tonight?
huh?
Vodka?
It's it's Celsius Cola. It's to put a little pep in my step to make it through the
With a
make it
hint
through
of
the
Jack?
night.
With a hint of Jack?
No,
Oh, okay.
nothing that exciting. But
Oh,
how are
wow.
things? How are things, Mike? How was your weekend? How are you?
It was good. We were at Shocktoberfest on Sunday in
Okay.
Long Beach. So, yeah.
I was mostly doing work this weekend, so nothing too exciting, and still have more deadlines to deliver. Oh, we already got comment. Derpy Gaming. Thank you, Derpy, for
Thank you
joining us.
for being
Hello
back.
there. Hello to you, Derpy. Thank you. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So,
So
pretty much that's all I did this weekend
yeah.
was go to Shocktoberfest. Kind of rested the rest of the week.
Did you? So what was there, like beer and schnitzel and sausage, or like what was?
No, it was mazes that were okay. It was kind of like a Halloween
Oh, it
carnival.
was Halloween. Where was this?
Long Beach by the Queen Mary. What used to be where they used to do Dark Harbor was where they do Shocktoberfest now.
But where do they build? Like, do they build this on the beach, or is it at a building? Where do they do it?
It's at a parking lot.
Oh, okay. So
It's in the parking lot
okay,
right in front of the Queen Mary.
okay. So it's
The
like a
bad
horror.
thing,
It's
yeah,
like
but
a horror carnival, I guess.
yes. But the bad thing is like they used to have a Dark Harbor, and now it's kind of like
Uh huh.
this new Shocktoberfest because they can't let anybody on the Queen Mary right now
Interesting.
because it's under. They say it's sinking slowly.
Really?
Yeah, and that it needs to be rebuilt.
I've never been to the Queen Mary, but I've always wanted to go.
Yep, I know.
I just love the idea of dinner theater and like dinner and a show.
Yeah, it's really cool, and especially since it is haunted, it makes it even better.
Oh well.
So let's
One of
get
these
into.
days, I hope to try that.
You definitely have to go down there once they reopen the boat. But we got Derpy Gaming saying, "Sorry, I wasn't here for the episode 4 review. Should you all go over it quick? Then predictions for episode 5."
Okay, so we're picking up episode 5. So this week is all new. So we'll be all new with the rest of the audience since we've burned through all the screener episodes we were able to watch, which was the first 4.
Yep.
So we ended episode 4 with Andor leaving his old home and his adopted mother Marva, and leaving with is it Luthen Rael? Rael?
Is that his name?
Luthen. His name is Luthen, Stellan Skarsgård's character,
Mm-hmm.
who's sort of this rebel. I guess they're not quite the Rebel Alliance yet. So this early iteration of the Rebel Alliance, he's like a double agent.
Mm-hmm.
Recruits Andor and embeds him with this other group of sort of partisan guerrilla fighters. And they're planning to start a heist on another planet to. You had it right. What was it? The Imperial quarterly payroll, right?
Yes.
So basically, like, this is the fledgling Rebel Alliance. They need money. They're short on funds.
Don't we all?
Resources, manpower, everything. So
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to get money and secure money and funds by enacting this heist.
Mm-hmm.
by executing this heist. Andor has to keep his identity on the down low, which I think was interesting because, like, they don't. I guess this group he's with right now, like, no one completely trusts one another, and I guess Andor is not. I guess Andor is not the model rebel fighter yet. So, and then in the background, we've had this business with Andor looking for his sister, who he was lost and separated with when he was taken by Marva. And then what else? Okay, so we got our first look at Mon Mothma. Mon Mothma is still a senator in the Senate, and she's trying to help Luthen with his rebellion efforts in secret. But she's likely under constant surveillance, and she's fighting with the other senators to and she still wants to help people through the Senate, but of course, it's an Empire-controlled Senate. So, yeah. So there's some intrigue, and not a lot happened other than Andor getting embedded with this group of guerrilla fighters, and then, of course, meeting Mon Mothma and seeing what's up with her, and Luthen, who also has this sort of double identity, masquerading as this like antique dealer on Coruscant. So we learn a little bit more about Luthen as well.
Yeah. And that's where I say, like, I think what we were talking about last week, I feel like if we put the 4 shows together, the 4 episodes together, and they would have ran it for a special, just one big hour and a half, 2-hour episode, I think it would have set up a lot better than having 3.
It would have flowed better.
Yes, exactly.
Because we got the 4 episodes at once. The rest of the world got the 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Then had to wait a week for the 4th episode. Now this is just kind of the drawback to me of of streaming TV.
Yeah.
Of binging versus weekly. Now, yes, I think there are pros and cons to both. One pro, if it's weekly episodes, you can like build the hype and anticipation. You can be part of like this big TV conversation, like what's happening right now with House of the Dragon or Rings of Power. You get to build this anticipation on a weekly basis. On the other hand, sometimes it can hurt the pacing of a story, when you don't have the option to just, okay, now I can just go to the next episode right now or whenever I want.
Right.
I think there are pros and cons to binging and weekly episode releases. I don't think one way is absolutely the right way. It just depends on how a season is paced and written. But I definitely think maybe binge, like a binge format, since we got 12 episodes, might have been better for this show.
Yeah, especially with the way, because episode 4 felt like setup.
Yeah, it's very slow because this is a slow burn show, and even though I think this is a good show, it's very slow paced.
Yeah, and I think with episode 4 being a setup, and we'll see tonight on episode 5 if the setup is done, and now they're gonna actually go into they're gonna move into more in depth.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how long tonight's episode is, and if they start actually getting to like the meat of this heist. I forget. Do we know what planet they're on now?
I forgot what planet they're on. What they said it was.
But we are kind of getting to see new planets and new places. I mean, we did see Coruscant last episode, but I like what we saw of Coruscant because it felt like we were seeing a different aspect of the city,
right,
than what we saw in the prequels.
And that's why I'm kind of curious, because like after this episode 5, we're halfway through the season already on episode 6.
Well, after episode 6, we'll be halfway through.
Well, yes, but we're coming close. It's really close in a couple weeks.
Happy Yom Kippur to you as well, Avi. Shalom from a fellow tribesman. So thank you.
Oh, and a fan of Liverpool FC. Yeah.
I hope you had a good New Year, Lashana Tova. So thank you, Avi. Man, and Rerum Trading, thank you for joining. Thanks. And if you guys have any thoughts on last week's episodes, any predictions for tonight, let us know.
Yeah, we'll love to hear them.
It wouldn't surprise me the way that here's my theory, Mike, because this is 12 episodes. So if they do like 3-episode mini movies, so to speak. So the third episode this season was sort of like a climactic kind of blow off to that first episode arc. Yeah. And if in episode 4, they started another 3-part arc that will conclude next week. And then they'll move into another 3-episode arc. Not that they're going to do that, but when you have 12 episodes, it's like you can do basically 4 kind of mini movies like this.
Yeah. Since it is a total of 24 episodes by the end, once it's all said and done. So I'm curious how it's going to set up the first half. And how the first half.
Well, have they even started filming for the second half?
They start filming in November, from what they said.
But is this just all one season, or is this are they going to call this season 1 or season 2?
It's all one season. This is part 1 of the first season. Then there's part 2 of the season. They said it at D23 Expo.
So, but how long are we going to wait for the next 24?
I'm hoping it's going to be like next year. That's what I'm hoping.
Like how deep in are we going to wait? 6 months, or are we going to wait a year?
I'm thinking it's going to be a year. If they haven't even started filming it yet, and with all the effects, I'm thinking it's going to be a year.
But what I dig about the show, great acting so far, great cinematography, great production values, and just achieving this really like gritty, realistic style that I think we've been missing from a lot of the live action Star Wars as of late.
Yeah, I agree.
And look, don't get me wrong. I love The Mandalorian. I liked Book of Boba Fett probably more than most other people. I liked Kenobi, but I think the visual aesthetic here is definitely a cut above. And I would like to see future live action projects at least try to strive for something closer to this.
Yeah. See, I agree with you on that, because I really like, because it's something different that we haven't seen in a Star Wars TV show or film, and I like that aspect of it. It's grittier, it's different, it feels different.
Now, with something like Werewolf by Night, which premieres later this week, and we've both seen, and we can talk a little bit about that. Like they were going for like a 1930s 40s vintage horror like aesthetic.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, I think the special achieved that.
Yeah.
And it looked different, but with what they were going for, I think the visual aesthetic of that TV special works. But it's something totally different than this.
Yeah.
This is like an immersive. Do you even call it sci-fi? An immersive fantasy world, and they've achieved a very high level of verisimilitude you rarely see with like a fantasy world like this, universe, galaxy, however you want to classify it.
I would think about the same, but I'll see with really immersing with storytelling. I think the storytelling is really good, and it's really it has a purpose, the storytelling. And that's where I think Werewolf by Night, what kind of got me a little about it.
But you didn't like Werewolf by Night?
No, I do like it. But what sucks is the fact that you look at She-Hulk's, and this is the one thing that we've always talked about, CGI.
Yeah.
CGI looked really good on Werewolf by Night, besides the fact that it's in black and white,
Yes.
but it still looked really good, especially when they go into when it transitions. I don't want to say what it transitions to, but it still keeps that great CGI.
It's not as good as this show. I'm going to say that much.
Oh no.
And it looked like TV. It did look to me. It looked like TV level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
yeah,
you'll see
this is
when
movie.
you watch Werewolf by Night. You'll understand.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's like a single 50-minute TV special. It's not, and it's like a standalone TV special. It's not even a pilot.
Yeah.
It's like an extended short film, basically.
Yep.
So it's not really by the same standard of like a $200 million movie, or even a show like this, which probably has, I don't know, what kind of budget do you think this show has for 12 episodes? It's got to be at least $100 million.
Oh, it has to be. It has to be,
if not more.
Let me see if you can find anything on it.
I'm also curious about that as well.
Because I'm kind of curious what the budget is on this one as well. It has to be high. It's nothing cheap.
Like, it would not surprise. I mean, and we know they spent a ton at Amazon for the Rings of Power.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, yeah, we know how
location shoots.
Yeah, that was a lot of money that they spent.
I think they spent. I think the number I heard was $750 million, and that includes acquiring the rights from the Tolkien estate.
That's a lot
for a TV show. I don't know if that includes season 2, which they're filming right now, but basically $250 million to the Tolkien estate to get the rights to the books, and then I think it's like basically another $500 million for that first season. So they spent a ton of money to make that show.
Mm-hmm.
It almost sounds absurd. It almost sounds absurd, you know, when you think about like what James Cameron was doing with his film budgets back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, James Cameron put together some crazy cinematic experiences that were like unparalleled for their time, and looks like he's still doing that.
Yeah, they're saying roughly, but don't take this with as fact. One article that I found from Start Facts says 15 to 25 million.
Okay, so let's see. 15 times 12. That's about 100 million and 80 million for the first half of the season, right?
Yeah.
Now, if it's 25, so 300. You know, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
So, grain of salt, we don't know if that's true, but I can certainly buy the fact that they're spending close to $200 million on 12 episodes, because once again, I don't think we've seen this level of production values for a live action Star Wars TV series before.
Yeah, and that's why I say take it with a grain of salt, because they are referencing some actual credible outlets, but they also reference outlets that are kind of I'll take them with a very, very grain of salt type of approach.
Right.
One was saying Obi-Wan Kenobi will cost 150 million.
Right.
Like, I would take those type of facts.
I think they really should have just spent a little bit more on Kenobi.
Yeah.
Like giving it another say $30 million, but you know, it's not my money. But I imagine this is the big reason that Lucas could not get his own live action Star Wars TV projects that he was trying to make off the ground, because it was probably because of budget.
Yeah.
and that was when Lucasfilm was still an independent studio.
Mhm.
And so that's, I guess, one of the advantages of Disney is they can afford this. So say what you will about Disney, but they can they have the ability to open those pocketbooks and make a show look as good as this does. I just wish it was a little more consistent, across the different series, like with She-Hulk. And just for example,
Mhm.
for She-Hulk, I would not mind waiting another, let's say, 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 months on the login, if they could really fix up that CGI. Don't you think that would help the show immensely?
Oh, a lot, because people wouldn't be nitpicking at it.
Because that's, and I mean, a lot of people are hating on the show, but the thing people are nitpicking a lot is what? The CGI. And
Yeah.
even we're talking about the CGI because it's like not.
Well, it's so distinctive that it pulls you away from the story.
Exactly.
And
so if they just spent a little bit more time to polish up She-Hulk CGI, I wouldn't mind waiting another few months, to get the final product,
Yeah.
I don't mind waiting as long as you polish it and make it look the best it possibly can.
Yeah. I got something from the Washington Post, which is a little more credible.
Okay, so that's more credible.
Yeah, they're saying 15 million price tag per episode.
Okay, so that's roughly. So if we were to guesstimate, that's basically 180 million to 200 million low end for this series. And that's just for 12 episodes. So,
and we're not even seeing like how much, like, separate that budget.
That could be close to $400 million for this whole shebang. So they're spending movie level. If you were to make like a Cassian Andor movie, it would have a budget comparable to this. So, and that's good because look, you can see it on. The good thing is now we can see it on the screen.
Yeah,
and I think they're clearly building a lot of sets out, a lot of practical sets, and that also shows. I think the volume is a good thing for productions, but it also clearly has its limits, and they have not quite perfected it yet.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of the cost is that they didn't use the volume in this series at all.
Right. Like, so we can see it in episode 4, like they were clearly, like, a lot of those exterior like they were clearly going to rural locations and filming in like forests and the mountains and stuff to get those shots in episode 4.
Yeah, and they did film at Pinewood. Andor was filmed in Pinewood in England. So, I mean, they did. They're doing practical sets, especially since they have the volume over there. They may have a different version of the volume, but they didn't have access to it.
I think what I do like the most about is when they for the ships, because I think when you can watch those making of specials for like the Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, which I recommend for everyone.
Yeah,
like they did. Like not all the ships are CG. Like they have these big miniature. They're still doing miniatures. So they're building like physical ships that they shoot practically, and I think that's one reason the ships look really good.
Yeah, and that's why I say the volume looks really good when it works and it's set up for something like that.
Right.
It does have its issues when you use it too much.
I think we started seeing its limits a little bit with Kenobi and Boba Fett. But
I think it's all depending on who uses it. Because like Jon Favreau knows how to use it correctly now.
Still, I think it's a good thing because this will set a new standard. Because like I think the Mandalorian is still the overall bar and standard to reach, This is about the visual aesthetic, production values, cinematography, and things like that.
Yeah.
Like for the overall package, to me, it's still The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
As far as an overall series goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are about halfway there until the episode drops. So, excuse me, guys. All right, do you want to go over some housekeeping?
Do you want to do it this week again?
Sure.
Since I'm the one who usually does it, we'll give you the second time where you get to do this.
All right.
Well, do you want music in the background, or do you want it?
However, I'm fine. However,
too bad I can't add music. We'll give you a little.
Can we edit? Can we add? If we can add some music, I don't mind.
We'll give you a little. Was it? What's? I friggin' my mind is completely fucked up. Just continue.
Okay, so here at MUSE TV, what we like to do is, this is our sort of pre-episode preamble, or this is the pre-show discussion for the watch party. So when the episode comes on at around 11:50 p.m. Pacific time, that'll be 2:50 a.m. Eastern time. So we will put our cameras and audio on mute. We will watch the episode. You can watch the episode too. And then we will be back once we're done watching the episode for our after party discussion. So that is when we will be discussing the episode. So we'll be going on mute for about half an hour, 45 minutes, however long the show is tonight. And then we'll be back to answer your questions, talk about the show with you, and do the post-show after party. So that's how we do things over here at MUSE TV.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to have to cut the no later than 1 o'clock to go over for the watch party. If we could cut it out early, it'll be great. Because tomorrow morning we have 5 interviews with 5 different directors who created short films for Hulu's bite-sized Halloween.
I'm noticing? This year has been a good year for horror cinema. Oh
yeah, Smile is doing amazing now.
Smile, I didn't really care for Smile, but it is doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Barbarian did well. The Black Phone.
Oh, the Black Phone was so good.
The latest Scream movie, and then you have smaller films like X, and its its companion piece Pearl, which I think Pearl is doing well. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pearl got great reviews, and let's see how much money Pearl is doing.
But I would definitely recommend, if you have Hulu, check out the bite-sized Halloween shorts for this year. They're really good. They took it to another level.
Pearl's like not doing huge money, but it's made $8 million, and I mean, so it seems to be doing okay. But like horror film seems to be in a pretty good place. Like horror, I think, is always going to do well, pretty much no matter what. You know.
Well, Halloween, I have a feeling, is going to have a problem. I don't know why. I just have this sense.
Right.
The final Halloween film is going to have a problem.
Well, that's the other thing. We have Halloween Ends coming out later this month.
Yeah.
So I expect it will still do well. Just because, these films don't have a giant budget, and the last 2 did well. So I think this one will do relatively well.
I think for me, it's just the fact that they're putting it on Peacock same day as release as in theater. Right. Just kind of, to me, it shows that no confidence in the film.
Well, but there's good horror TV as well.
Yes, there is.
So there's Hellraiser's I think debuting on Hulu.
Oh, that is really good.
The Hellraiser reboot.
Yep.
And I think there's also the AMC Creepshow. So there's
Interview with the Vampires coming out. I believe.
Right. So it's like there's something. It's like there's something for every type of horror fan, like every type of subgenre of horror. And there's a lot to choose from. So if you're a horror fan, it's a pretty good time, and there's a pretty good selection of options.
Yeah. And
But
then
if,
also too, like
yeah,
Turner Classic Movies will show the original. They're going to be showing the original monster movies as well, so that's always a good added bonus to this Halloween season as well.
and also, of course, Marvel's got this Halloween special, Werewolf by Night, which has a heavy horror sort of element to it, which is very unique, and that comes out this week as well. So there's stuff. There's good horror films at the theaters that are doing well at the box office. There's horror content on streaming to enjoy. So there's a nice variety between TV, streaming, cinema. If you're a horror fan, if you're a horror fan, you got it pretty good right now.
I think so. There's a lot of good stuff out there, and definitely.
I think Barbarian and I think the Black Phone was probably one of the better films I've seen this year.
Oh,
Barbarian was very entertaining, so there's that as well.
Mm-hmm. That's why when I was talking to Jason Blum at Universal Halloween Horror Nights, when we did the interview with him, I mentioned Black Phone. I didn't even touch Halloween Ends because I was like, because they had already said that it was going to be on Peacock, and I was like, I'm not touching it because the last one I didn't like, Halloween Kills.
Now related to horror, Robert Eggers is finally making his reimagining of Nosferatu.
Oh,
guess who's playing Nosferatu?
Who?
Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, damn. That's going to be good.
Who was in Barbarian, Pennywise and It.
Mm-hmm.
That's very exciting. And according to Deadline, the female lead in his Nosferatu reboot is Lily Rose Depp.
Damn.
His original choice was obviously Anya Taylor-Joy, but she was not available for the picture because I mean, look at her. She's like one of the hottest talents in town right now. And she was in The Northman and The Witch for him. But Lily Rose Depp doesn't have a lot of credits. Johnny Depp's daughter. She was in that sci-fi film last year, Voyagers. I'll be curious to see what she does in this film.
Yep, I agree. Let me put up a picture for this. Such as shows because he kind of has the face for Nosferatu. Just saying, not in a bad. I'm not.
I think Skarsgård is a great choice. I don't know, like if they're going to stick with the names of the original, but the original 1922 film, it was Max Schreck as Graf Orlok. There you go.
That's why I say, look at that face. That's a Nosferatu type of face.
No, isn't it like perfect casting? Don't you think?
It is perfect casting.
Like I feel like Skarsgård is going to kill that role.
Yeah.
I think the big I'm gonna give her a chance, but the big test is obviously can Lily Rose Depp hold her own in this picture. But I think with Robert Eggers helming the ship, she will be okay.
Yeah.
And I think Robert Eggers he's one of the most exciting, talented filmmakers working right now, and I'm very happy. This is the passion project he's wanted to make for a long time, and I'm glad he's finally getting to do it. And I'm glad that Focus Features, even though the Northman didn't do a lot of business, they definitely seem to understand his vision and they're supporting it. So I appreciate that from Focus Features, and I think this could be very exciting.
I agree.
A new definitive take, cinematic take on the vampire. So
I agree.
I'll be curious to see how Eggers envisions though the vampire character in this film.
Yeah. And tomorrow when we do our She-Hulk watch party and after show, before we go into in the watch party phase of it, and when we do our discussions, I believe we'll be able to talk more in detail of Werewolf by Night by then. I think, right?
Let's see, what date did I get? What is the date?
Review embargo. Oh no, we won't.
We can't.
Yeah.
No. We'll be a little bit behind. We'll be a little bit behind the curve.
Yeah. So we won't be able to discuss it yet.
But if you want to read my current thoughts on Werewolf by Night, go to @WillJack83.
Yeah.
Just some brief reactions and thoughts, social reactions and thoughts on Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
But you can look for my review later this week, though.
Yeah. Well, you could still come by She-Hulk watch after show.
Yeah, come by She-Hulk anyway, and we'll all have a good time. We'll all have a good time together. We're gonna have a great time.
Anyway, there's only 2 episodes left, tomorrow's and the week after, and then we're done.
We know one of those episodes is gonna have Daredevil, so it's like
I'm still saying episode 9. We're not gonna see him until the last.
Not gonna see him until the finale.
Exactly.
They're gonna dangle the carrot all the way until the end.
They're gonna dap each other, and then that's it. The show's over. That's what I'm thinking.
They're gonna do a little bit more than that.
Yeah. Slap each other in the ass and say, "Let's go fight crime." I mean, come on. It's like, why do we have? They tease them already. They teased them in the show. Why in the hell don't we see them already?
Oh, speaking of another comic book series, this is fascinating. So this is more of I don't want to say like a fringe, but a more obscure comic book series called Grendel. So a live action series was being filmed for Netflix. I think it was nearing completion of production, and Netflix basically canceled. Netflix canceled the show, a show before it even made it to the air, which is a bit shocking. They usually put it on and then wait 3 weeks before they cancel it.
Yeah.
So this is based on the comic book series by Matt Wagner. And it let's see, follows Hunter Rose, a gifted fencer, rider, and assassin, seeking to avenge the death of a lost love. He goes to war with New York's criminal underworld, only to realize why beat them when you can join them. So sort of like an indie comic kind of thing. Let's see. So the show would have starred Abu Bakr, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, Ali, in the title role. Resident Evil creator Andrew Dabb was writing the show. So they were making a live action series for Netflix. So Netflix has opted not to run the show on the air before production was completed. So apparently they will have the option to, I guess, shop it around elsewhere and maybe finish it. That's bizarre. Has Netflix ever done anything like that before?
Not that I remember. I know they've shut down projects before they were done, or even when the season was completed, but they never, not that I know of, when it was still in production.
Let's see. I would have wanted to have at least watched his show for a couple episodes. What I would really want is like something based on the show. If I were to have my pick of like make any kind of streaming show based on like a comic or pulp hero, I would want like The Shadow or Mike Allred's Madman. Now, if you had your choice,
that actually makes that makes sense. The Shadow,
just because I think TV is a better way to do The Shadow at this point.
Yeah,
I think you can play around a little bit more. You can experiment more without the pressure of having to be a big budget movie.
Yeah, and that's where I think like if they ever were to do something like a Dick Tracy, that would work great on TV.
So would that be your choice if you like any show you would want like a Dick Tracy?
Dick Tracy. I also think G.I. Joe could work as a series. A live action G.I. Yeah.
Well, they were supposed to do Lady J for Amazon. I don't know what's happening with that. Like they were talking about that before the Snake Eyes movie came out. So I think they might still be making it, but like I haven't heard anything since Snake Eyes.
Ever since Hasbro did their own studio thing, I think they may have took a look at everything and either put it on hold or re rework the projects.
Now, Paramount Plus also announced this week that they've given a series order to the revival of Frasier. 17 years, excuse me, not 18 years after it went off the air, TV's Frasier is coming back as a Paramount Plus series. What do you think about that? And Kelsey Grammer is back as Frasier.
I don't know. I don't know where you go with the story.
Did you like Frasier back in the
Oh,
day?
I liked Frasier.
Okay.
I used to watch it, but I don't know how.
One of TV's most celebrated sitcoms. It won 37 Emmy Awards.
But sometimes I wonder if how it would do now in this day and age.
Well, I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, because it worked great back then. I don't know about now.
So here's what Deadline reported. So far, it's only Kelsey Grammer returning. It doesn't look like any of the original writers or creators are on the show. David Hyde Pierce, Harry Gilpin, and was it Jane Leeves? Apparently are not coming back. Some of the other original actors might appear, but only in guest appearances.
Is Eddie coming back?
Which one is Eddie? Is that the dog? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. All we know for now is that Kelsey Grammer is back, and it got a series order, and apparently it's going to be, Deadline says 10 episodes for the first season. So I don't know. It feels like they kind of waited too long to do Frasier.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like X-Files, like I feel like they did like two things with X-Files, didn't they?
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like
they kind of stood on their own because they were separate stories.
Right. But I think they did the little X-Files comeback, and that was that.
At this point, they're bringing everything back. Why don't they just bring back Cheers already?
I mean, hey, they might. I mean, they might.
But also, too, like, I would rather see a Cheers come back than a Frasier.
Aren't most of the actors from the original Cheers are still around, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Kirstie Alley, Ted Danson, Woody Harrelson, George Wendt, Mike Ratzenberger. They're all still around, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So
Kelly Long's still around. Still around.
I just don't. Do you really want a Cheers revival, Mike?
Cheers, well, more than Frasier. If I don't want to be honest, they've all had their days and they all had their time. But if you're gonna bring back one, I think Cheers would work better in this day and age than Frasier would.
I feel like Seinfeld could work because it's like,
Seinfeld could work anytime.
Because like all those, because I could see like 25 years later, all those characters all still being relatively the same and just getting into the same kind of mischief. But it's just, but could you have that same level of just like anti-heroism that you did in the 90s, you know?
Yeah. Well, technically, Seinfeld's, the premise of Seinfeld is still around, but in a different show.
Okay.
Oh, what's that? The one with on HBO? Curb Your
Enthusiasm. Yeah.
Is it Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Larry David show is Curb.
Yeah.
Well,
that's pretty much.
Why do you like Dick? Like, what is it about Dick Tracy that attracts you?
You know what it is? Is this you could stylize it into a series. It kind of goes back. You can make it into like an old school serial in a modern age.
Okay.
Really attract people.
Well, that's kind of what I would like. Like my idea with The Shadow would be like a 1930s kind of like urban, but like Ripper Street, but like in New York City, basically.
Yeah.
New York City in the 30s.
Yeah. And I think you're right with that, with The Shadow, because there's certain stories that play better.
And basically, like, what I like about, like, did you ever watch Ripper Street? Like, I love that show.
Yeah.
I like how Ripper Street sort of used those kind of like big major events and turning points at kind of like the turn of the century period of like the 1890s, and kind of using it to as a microcosm for like modern day conflicts and ideas. And I would kind of want the Shadow to do something similar, basically.
Yeah.
Like explore like modern day conflicts and ideas that were kind of like at their infancy in like the 30s, kind of.
And I think those are two shows that could probably do better on TV than their movies were.
Exactly. Oh, and
so
Sony Pictures also got the rights to Tarzan.
Who did?
Sony Pictures.
Oh, okay.
They acquired the rights to Tarzan, so I don't know what they're going to do with Tarzan, but apparently they want to make Tarzan stuff again. What do you think?
That one just seems a little too. It's been done too many times already.
I'm just at like Warner Brothers did their Tarzan film with Alexander Skarsgård and Margot Robbie. It didn't do all that great, so I'm just like what can you do with Tarzan at this point that hasn't been done before?
Exactly. That's exactly it. What can you do with that property that hasn't been done?
Well, Sony's going to do it just like they're going to do the Spider-Man, Madam Web, and Kraven. Oh, do you know there's a director lined up for Bad Bunny's El Muerto?
Oh yeah, I saw that today. Today.
Jonas Cuarón, Alfonso Cuarón's son, who's also a filmmaker. He is the director. What do you think about that?
It's going to be interesting. I don't know much about the character, but it's going to be interesting.
Sort of a minor, like one-off character.
Yeah, I'm still questioning how Bad Bunny would do in the role, but I'd give it a shot.
I think Bullet Train was a good role for him because it didn't like require a lot.
Yeah, but he also didn't have a lot of lines either.
But he was in. Did you see him in Narcos Mexico? Because he was on that show too.
No, I didn't.
Okay. He had a recurring role on Narcos Mexico. But.
And by the way, the show's not up yet.
I mean, Cuarón, like, I'm not looking forward to this film at all, but he is a good filmmaker, you know?
Yeah.
He co-wrote Gravity. Gravity was a very good film.
Yeah. Me neither. I'm not looking forward to anything about this film because it's Sony. And whatever. So far, everything that Sony has touched, I am not very happy with.
I did enjoy I thought Bullet Train was a fun.
Bullet Train was great, but I'm talking like Morbius.
Oh, like the Spider-Man spin-off.
Yes.
Well,
anything with Into
the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse looks promising.
Well, no, but also too, Ari Arvid doesn't have a hand or fingers on it.
Who? Oh, you mean Avi Arad?
Yeah, that's one. Avi Arad. Yeah, no fingers on Into Spider-Verse, but he had his hands all over Morbius, and you could tell.
All right, so we are getting to the final minutes before the debut of episode 5 of Andor. So it should be popping up at 10 to the hour. So once that happens, we'll be going on mute, and then we'll be taking a bit of a break, a timeout. And then once we're done watching the episode, we will resume the rest of the watch party to talk about tonight's episode. So.
Yep. And I have a feeling it's probably going to be in the range of 35 to 40 something minutes.
I hope it's longer than that because, like, come on, give us like some meat.
Yeah.
Give us like some real, like, you know, give us a nice, satisfying climax this week.
Because the last episode was the longest episode so far in the season, at 49 minutes.
That's right.
With credits and pre-roll and all.
But like the first 3 episodes were clearly meant to be shown together. And I feel like they were written as just one big movie that they just separated out.
Yeah.
They arbitrarily separated out. I still feel like they should re-edit the first, even though you say the first 4, I think they should do the first 3 together, just to give it a more satisfying, like, kind of.
Yeah. But you could tell they didn't shoot this like a TV series, that they shot it like a movie and just cut it up.
It's possible. It's possible.
Mhm.
I
But
think we might get a better idea of that when they do like the making of material,
yeah.
like they've been doing for all their live action stuff on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So it should be up by now. So let's give it a look.
Let's see. It is up.
All right.
The Axe Forgets is the
Here we
title.
go. We'll see you in a bit, everybody. All righty. So that was episode 5 of Andor. This episode, The Axe Forgets, referring to something that Arvel Skeen said in the episode. The axe forgets, but the tree doesn't. So, once Mike is done, we'll be getting into our after party discussion of episode 5 of Andor. In case you've forgotten, I'm Jeffrey, the J to the E to the double F -ray. Marvin is here. Lewis is here. Lewis Berry is here. Gustavo Gomez. Thank you to the other people who chimed in. So, yeah. So, I guess we're doing like 3 episode arcs here. They didn't get to the big blow off this week, so I guess that's going to be next week. So I guess we're at the very least, even though they dragged it out to the next episode, that would suggest like the next episode will be like wall to wall, or at least mostly action with the big the raid that they're planning on the Imperial base coming up. So it does feel like they're doing this season in 3 episode mini movies, like 3 episode arcs. So like the 3 episode was like a mini movie. This is like the second mini movie. So it feels like we're doing like 4 3 episode parts in a 12 episode season. So I feel like the next episode will be the climax and resolution, and then we'll move on to the next chapter of Andor's journey. But we will see. We got to see more of Mothma and her family. Her daughter is a real piece of work. I could not stand her daughter. She was like really nasty to her mom. Like, respect your elders, kid. Respect, love honor thy father and mother. Seriously. let's see. So we got a bit more intrigue with Vel Sartha's rebellion group. Vel is the blonde woman. She apparently has a relationship with Luthen. Not sure if she's like a relation. Maybe she's not his daughter because they have different names. These are their real names: Vel Sartha, Luthen Rael. But there seems to be a connection or a relation there of some type. I don't know exactly what. We learned a little bit more about Vel's group. Let's see, Arvel Skeen, his brother was killed by the Empire. Who was the young kid, Nemec? He's very intellectual and philosophical. Lieutenant Gorn, who's the leader at the base, he seems to be an Imperial dissident who's lost his taste for the Empire and has fallen in with the rebellion. So he's their guy on the inside that's apparently helping them. And Terramin is the other Imperial, I guess not officer, but Imperial trooper who is helping them with this raid. And, they're walking into maybe not a mouse trap, but they're walking into the lion's den, so to speak, a snake den, a viper den. So it's going to be very dangerous. And let's see. So let's see. All right, Mike's here.
Yes, I'm back.
Finally. All right. So that's episode 5. The Axe Remembers. Your thoughts?
I like the episode. I like where it's setting up to.
More build up.
Yes.
So the drawback is.
But this build-up was more preparation.
Preparation, but we know we're going to get a big blow-off next week.
Yes.
So they didn't. So on the one hand, there wasn't really like any action this week, but that means next week we're going to get a ton of like action and shooty, bangy explosions, probably, and a lot of fighting. We'll be relegated, but it does seem like they're doing these 3-episode mini movies, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So
but the one thing that stood out to me was Cyril. What a little bitch.
There's a lot of that. I got to be honest. The Cyril subplot is the weakest thing in the show so far to me.
To me, it's showing. I think Cyril's gonna turn out to be a very key point into this whole story because of his obsession to Andor.
But
he's acting like a little bit
so slowly, and those scenes with I felt like I was watching a sci-fi Woody Allen movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was so little progress. Like I get it, he's still obsessed with Andor, like you said, and maybe he's going to use that. He's going to use his pursuit of Andor to try to get back in with the Empire or something. But man, I just could not stand this episode this week. Yeah. Because I don't like Cyril. I don't like his mother. Like doing the whole overbearing, like Woody Allen type mother thing. And it was just, I'm sorry, I don't care for that subplot, Mike.
It's to me, it kind of shows his character a little bit more.
I mean,
why he is who he is.
He can't stand his mother. He doesn't want anything to do with his mother. Clearly, his mother's not really. Mm-hmm. His mother's nothing to write home about either. His mother's like really overbearing. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's why I say like
it's passive aggressive love-hate relationship.
It shows why he is who he is.
Huh?
It shows why he is who he is.
He can't stand his parents.
That, and that's what makes him.
He's kind twitchy and neurotic. He's twitchy and neurotic.
Yeah, and he's obsessed with finding Andor.
Oh man, what the poor Mon Mothma. What a brat her daughter is.
Yep.
Leda.
Mm-hmm.
Leda, honor thy father and mother. And her husband's an a-hole. Her husband's a total a-hole.
And that's why I say I have a feeling the husband is on the side of the Empire.
Mon Mothma should have been like, girl, you're not too old for the belt.
Well, yeah, but
that daughter was a piece of work. My God, what a brat.
Yep. Well, when you grow up in
Privilege.
privilege, that's what you get. But
But I
something
mean,
tells me the husband is pro empire, and that's why
when
she said,
the husband was just grinning through the whole thing. The husband was enjoying his daughter just tearing his wife, her mother, a new one. I was disgusted.
well, here's the thing. I have a feeling he knows a little bit that she's doing something on the side, but he doesn't know exactly what yet. Especially when he mentions it and she tells him, probably because there's no wealth behind it.
But like her the daughter Leda was just
Mm.
laying into Mon Mothma, and he was there grinning
Yeah.
like a jerk.
Well,
Like, who is this guy?
that's why I'm saying he wants to see her distraught so she doesn't continue what she's doing on the back end trying to
There
figure
are
out.
very few likable characters in this show.
Well, there shouldn't be. I mean, at this period of timeline, you
I just think
want to make
I got
sure
it. Okay. I think this is kind of, not to be mean, but I feel like this is where the cracks in the writing are starting to show.
Mhm.
I feel like the show's a little overwritten, Mike.
And to me, I don't think so.
I feel like they're trying too hard to be like Sons of Anarchy. So, like a Sons of Anarchy where like there's like 20 different subplots and characters going on at the same time.
To me, it feels like an old Western military show, like movie.
Well, look, now we have we have Andor with the rebel guerrillas,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Then we had Cyril and his mother.
Mhm.
Then we had Mon Mothma and her family.
Yep.
Then we had the other Imperials on Coruscant.
Mhm.
That's like too many subplots. I'm sorry.
Well, there's a lot going on during this time. That's why
I don't think we need
this is why I have a feeling it's leading up to a big, like, you're gonna see the beginning of the Rebel Alliance, and it's
we're
going to
already seeing that.
Yeah, but full fledged.
And then we have Luthen on Coruscant as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I don't like.
It's gonna be. It's gonna lead and end to a full fledged, like.
Okay, but did you ever watch say Jack Ryan?
Yeah.
So what did you think of the drone pilot subplot in the first season?
Oh, I hated it.
To me, the stuff with Cyril and his mother is like the drone pilot of Jack Ryan. Did Jack Ryan need the drone pilot subplot?
No. Does this one need it?
I mean, look.
I'm gonna wait and see.
We'll see where we are at the end of the 12 episodes, but I feel like they're overriding the show, and they're putting in a few too many things that are a bit mundane.
To me, if it doesn't pay off at the end, then I would agree with you. If there is a payoff to his character and what he's doing, which I have,
like, what do you see? Do you see Cyril ultimately siding with the Empire and becoming an Imperial officer, or do you think his journey will lead him to the rebels?
No, he's going to be an Imperial officer, and I have a feeling he will die. He'll do something that he'll be.
But like, why is that? Why? Okay,
because of his
the end game for Cyril. Why is it important?
Because of his obsession to Andor and his obsession of Andor capturing Andor.
Yeah,
he's gonna feel it's gonna be about, oh yeah, I'm gonna be able to get my job back, get my post back. When in actuality, it's gonna put him in a position that he cannot handle.
Well, why is it important that we learn, like, oh, this guy has he's got an overbearing mother who he can't stand, and we're supposed to feel sympathy for him and his plight, that he got outsmarted and outwitted by Andor, and that he's still and he wants to take Andor down. Yet we are supposed to be rooting for him. Like, it doesn't work. This doesn't work for me.
I don't think he's somebody to be rooted for. I think it's.
And then we had the other Imperials on Andor's other his adopted home planet. I forget the name.
Mm-hmm.
So we got like, and then he's talking to his subordinate, who's like, "I want to be the prefect" and all that. Mm-hmm. There's too much going on right now.
And to me, it doesn't bother me at all. This doesn't bother me at all.
But and again, this was a short episode. It was really under 40 minutes.
Well, that's the thing. I wish it was a little bit longer. That's one thing that really
I feel like these should be like 45, 50-minute episodes.
Yes. I think you need a full hour to explain the full story. That is for sure. That is for sure.
Because I felt like this episode was too crammed with plot. So I don't know. I'm a bit I'm mixed because I like all the stuff with Andor and the rebel group he's with now, and how he's, Andor has his own goal. He's just in it for the money. Andor is not indoctrinated into the cause yet. He's not a believer in the cause.
Mm-hmm.
He's against the Empire, but he only cares about himself. He's mainly in it for the money. He just wants to. But Luthen really wants to bring him in for his skills, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah. And see, that's why it leads me to something's going to happen by the end of the series that's going to change him. Because he's gonna feel like that guy.
That's the gist of the whole series, Mike. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the guy who's
figure out.
And that's the thing. I have a feeling Cyril is gonna kill the person who took care of him, which will be his mother figure. That's gonna, or something like that. It's gonna
So is all of this nonsense with Cyril to make him the endgame villain of this series? Is that what it is?
It could be. Yeah, it may be. Because something tells me that Andor is going to take him out. Yeah. By the end of the series.
Even still, all the scenes with his mother were it was just like, what is this? Mm-hmm. It was just very mundane and just very not.
I see it in a different way, though. I see it in a different perspective in that. It just shows his character.
Okay.
Why he is who he is. Why he does what he does.
Yeah, I get the sense of this character without the scenes with his mother.
Mm-hmm. So
he's an overachieving, try-hard corporate bozo.
Yeah. But instead he's just a little bitch.
Huh?
Instead he's a little bitch.
I think all the.
I was waiting for his mom to just say something like that, like, "Stop pouting. You're just a little bit. You're acting like a little bitch."
I do think all the guerrilla fighters, the rebels. I think they're all pretty cool, interesting characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially the younger one, that guy who was talking about the navigation unit to the other piece of.
He's like the philosophical dreamer, mm-hmm. And Arvel Skeen is like Arvel Skeen is like the very damaged, tortured realist.
Yeah.
Now, were you sensing? Is there some kind of relationship there with the other girl, Cinta, and Vel, the leader?
It seems like it.
I feel like I couldn't tell. It felt like they were hinting there was a romantic relationship.
Yeah, because when he said that, oh yeah, sure, he has
sharing a blanket, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know who. Like, clearly he wasn't referring to himself, mm-hmm. And it felt like
that's the way of saying it.
When Cinta said no, she didn't tell me. Mm-hmm. To me, that kind of seemed like, okay, my lover normally tells me things like this.
Yeah.
So do you think Cinta and Vel, she's the blonde leader, do you think they're in a relationship?
Probably are. I
It
think they
felt like
probably.
they were hinting at that. Did anyone notice that this week? Because it felt like they were hinting that.
Mhm.
But anyway,
That's the reason why she told Andor he could dress himself.
all the stuff with what was the planet called? Aldani?
Yes.
So all the stuff on Aldani, all the stuff with Andor, all that was very good.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff on with Cyril, bad, and I
Mm-hmm.
can't stand it.
Yeah.
I
do notice they do make mention of Kessel and Jakku in the series now.
So I think the other interesting subplot. So we have those other Imperials on. Okay, so Dedra Miro with Denise Gauff. That's Denise Gauff. She plays Dedra.
Yeah.
And her attendant. So they seem to have uncovered the early version of the Rebel Alliance, and so she can see like the things they're doing. They're trying to make it look random, but she senses a pattern in the randomness, and what she's seeing is the beginnings of the Rebel Alliance. But the ISB head does not believe what's going on here, but she's trying to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Now, to me, to spend this much time with like people who are basically the bad guys, there has to be a good payoff here.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they're going with this Dedra character, but hopefully it's somewhere interesting.
Yeah. And I like the Dedra character because I think that's the person who kind of like when nobody else will believe what she has, she's seeing what's going on.
Okay, but like what's the end game? Like her job is to
pretty much I told you so, and now look at what we have to face.
Okay.
And you guys didn't want to listen. You wanted to take you were so as Andor would say.
She's the bad guy.
She's the antithesis to what Andor said, that the Imperials just are all into themselves and they can't see what's in front of them. That's the reason why he could walk through and get through there.
Right.
And that's why Dedra is the one who's going to tell him you need to start looking and paying attention instead of just taking care of yourself.
We know the Empire does become aware of the Rebel Alliance later on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see where they go with this, but I mean, to spend this much time with the Imperial characters, there has to be a good payoff to this. So we'll see where they go. But I do feel like I feel like they've added a few too many characters and a few too many subplots to. I don't know. It kind of makes the show feel like sci-fi Dallas to me.
And to me, it feels more like a war film. Like the old.
I mean, war films don't 50s, have this many subplots.
I'm talking about like the old 50s World War II films.
Yeah, that don't have those films did not have characters going to having Woody Allen overbearing mother scenes. Okay.
Well, no, because that's a modern times type of thing. Okay. That's not an old school type of thing. That's modern.
Most of the war films spent time with just one side. They usually didn't show like the they didn't develop like the Nazis.
Well, no. But it's also a different time. This is a different age.
Yeah, so it doesn't
it has the feel of it, but
all I'm saying is the scenes with the Imperials and Cyril make this feel a bit too soap opera-y at times. And those are the scenes I could do without. And again, it's like Jack Ryan, the first season was very solid, except they had this whole ridiculous subplot with the drone pilot that was a constant drag on the series and just really added nothing to the overall. What was even the plot of the drone pilot? I don't even.
I don't know. But if Cyril or the Imperials, whoever they're showing, does not have a payoff at the end, then I'll agree with you on that one.
Like I think the drone pilot had a vague connection to the overall plot, like, but all of his scenes were just like mind-numbingly bad. Like, oh my god, the drone pilot is like a trained pilot, but he can't stand the fact that he's remote controlling drones to like kill terrorists and stuff like that.
That's why I say if there's no payoff to it, it makes. I'll agree with you. If there's no payoff and it doesn't lead to anything, I'll agree with you 100% of what you're talking about. But if there is a payoff and there is something to this and what they're doing,
well, I expect next week we are going to get a big payoff, and it will be a big, major knockdown, drag out, action packed episode.
Yeah. And before we start wrapping it up, was that coaxium that they had that they showed? That was on
what the jewel that
No. Inside the Imperial base.
Oh, I thought that. I don't think it. I thought that was the money, like the credits.
Okay.
Because they're trying to steal money.
Yeah.
Is the way I see it.
It just like the way the containers kind of looked like.
I don't. Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't quite look like that valuable fuel they got from like the Quetzal mines or whatever. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think it is, but I don't know. I don't know exactly what it was, but I assume that was like the money they're trying to steal.
Yeah. Overall, what would you give this episode as we're wrapping up?
7 out of 10.
Me, I'd go a little higher. I'll go 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
So
if
there's no payoff with the Cyril thing or the Imperial, I'm gonna look at this whole thing differently.
Well, I think eventually, like, Deidre will be on to Andor and Luthen and try to expose and catch them eventually. Because Deidre, what's her name? Dedra Miro, and Luthen are on the same planet right now. They're all on Coruscant. Mon Mothma's on Coruscant. So they are in the Lion's Den with the Imperial Security Bureau.
Yep.
And so they are not safe wherever they go. And Mon Mothma's daughter is a brat, and her husband looks like an Imperial could be an Imperial loyalist, and is not sympathetic to what she wants to do. So, man, I feel bad for Mon Mothma now.
Yep. It puts stakes onto everybody on what they're doing.
She should have slapped her daughter for talking to her.
Yeah.
That make me a bad person.
That would be what we would get if we did something like that. But to wrap it,
punch me in the mouth if I talk to her like that.
Yep, exactly. But to wrap everything up and close the night, because we'll be back tomorrow for his She-Hulk watch party and after show. How can people find you?
Okay, so Wheeljack83 is my Twitter. Check out my reviews and interviews at 411mania.com. You can check out my review of the #1 movie in America, Smile, and I'll have a review later this week of Marvel's Werewolf by Night, so be on the lookout.
There you go. And here you can follow us at MUSE TV here on YouTube, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and eventually we're going to be expanding that out to more. But for tonight, we're going to make it short because we'll be back tomorrow for She-Hulk watch party and episode, and after show it'll be episode 8 out of the series, and we only have after tomorrow night one more episode left of the She-Hulk watch party and after show. So we'll see you tomorrow here, same time, 11 p.m. Pacific time, 2 a.m. Eastern time, and we'll see you tomorrow here on MUSE TV. Have a great night.